Leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
You know. Not your average nigga, I'm a guy out the hood. They can't downplay me. I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say they see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. And then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. Look, I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still want us think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made. I was chosen by that man, you know y'all just been running game. The nerve of you acting like
What's going on, family? Peace and blessings, and welcome back to the campaign TV show Shifting the Culture. I'm your host, brother King Cam, and tonight on Shifting the Culture, family, we are going to be discussing the recent news with Breakfast Club and host Jess Hilarious, as well as her co-host Lauren. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of you have seen what has been all over the internet, a lot of the viral clips. Jess Hilarious went live on her social media platform the other night, I believe it was last night, and talked about some of the things that some of the way that she felt about how things was being handled on Breakfast Club, along with her co-hosts, Charlamagne and DJ Envy, and her relationship with Lauren. And then this morning on the show, they actually addressed the criticisms. Lauren was on the show, obviously Envy, Charlamagne was there, Jess, and they talked through some of the things that Jess mentioned on the live stream. So, we're going to be diving into that. So we're going to play that clip, and then we also have a special guest that's going to be joining us tonight, Student Minister Willie Muhammad, who is going to be talking with us about conflict resolution. He has gone on tour into multiple cities, working with different individuals and working with conflict resolution to help bring peace. So we're going to get his perspective as well on how this conflict can be resolved in a positive way to get the best outcome. So I need everybody, first and foremost, I need you to make sure that you like, share, subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, I need you to make sure that you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. I need you to retweet if you're on Twitter. Facebook, I need you to like and share. And then, of course, Instagram, you'll catch this later on down the line, family. So as we go in, and I know earlier I mentioned the campaign TV show. That's a throwback memory right there, the campaign TV show. But it's definitely shifting the culture. So let me go ahead and get the clip pulled up here, and then we'll get into our take a little bit afterwards. So let's get this pulled up. Bam. And here we go.
It's DJ Envy, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
What's happening? How's everybody feeling out there?
I'm great. How you feel?
I feel blessed, black, and highly favored. Jess Hilarious is here.
I'm cool.
Okay.
Jess
Still
has
my
been,
job. I came into work. What's up?
she's been trending all day.
Yes.
I think she's number 9 right now.
Okay. Because I was sitting at home last night trying to watch Magazine Dreams, and I kept getting a bunch of phone calls and text messages, and people was like, Jess Hilarious is going off on live.
But we have audio.
Okay.
We supposed to be a team up there. Not one person comes to my defense at all. Like when I'm, like not one mother ever with this online. Come on, I've been quiet a lot. If Jess Hilarious is quiet, it's a mother reason. I always got my mouth open, all the time. Just ran like a high school. It is. Fair East Side High.
I agree with that.
Fair East Side High.
Fair point.
Performance the club, though. Every day, and they always talk about, you ain't at work, you ain't at work. Yeah, I started picking up more shows. Hell no. That's how I'm getting. Hell no. Hell no. I have more fun outside the studio than I have in there now. Is you crazy?
No, act like that's not for real. Act like nobody knew that. Stop acting like y'all like
What
we
part?
really.
What you mean we don't have your
I
back?
have
Break
more-
that down. Explain how we don't have your back.
Okay, all right. So the narrative, like I said, with the online ish, that's what I said. Y'all ain't nobody trying to clear up no narrative about nothing. Ever since I came back, it was weird. Yes, it was weird. Yeah, I at first no, I did not. I wasn't too fond of Lauren. Nah, I wasn't too fond of her when I came back because we had a whole plan. Even how when I came back, how I picked her to fill in for me. Right, I come back, she ain't never leave. Then all right, cool that she don't leave, but she's on only during my segment. If she was meant to be a fourth host, move her in another way. Why she got to be moved in on? Because nobody had a problem with Jess with the mess until she started reading right. You know what I mean? Till she started
So,
reporting. I wasn't hired as a reporter. I was hired as Jess with the mess. So she started reading and delivering details and all that stuff.
Yes.
Then that's when Jess with the mess wasn't good enough no more. That's how it was presented. So I'm like, all right, cool.
But who said that though? Because the internet said
What
that?
are we talking about? No. This is our listeners. This is yeah. Why can't we worry about the comments? And these are people that enjoy the show and watch the show. It's not all about Instagram. It's YouTube. It's like we have people that have been watching the show. Yes, she's great at what she do. That's why I picked her to fill in for me. But when I came back, it's like, what's going on? If she's gonna be a fourth voice, why she only gotta be a fourth voice
correct me if
on
I'm
my
wrong.
segment?
She wasn't a fourth voice. She was a producer. She was hired as a news producer to help with getting all news and doing interview
She was going to be the
questions.
senior news producer.
She
yes.
wasn't on there. When you came back, Lauren was not on there. She was in the back doing questions, sending interview questions,
Oh, my
reporting the news. Am I lying?
I thought
Yeah,
you was.
you
I
lying.
thought,
Yeah, she
am I
on
lying?
air. She was on air.
They told her don't step in this room.
yes, but I thought you was using her on purpose.
Do you want to see how much money you're eligible for? If you were in a car crash within the last 2 years, that
What? You thought I was using Lauren on purpose?
Yes.
No. What are we talking about? No. She didn't leave when I came back. The first day we had a whole situation like, all right, look, this was going to happen. And when it's time for us to roll, it changed. No, the first question was about, the only person who asked me about my baby maternity leave was Envy. All right, I walked in. She addressed the hate in the comments. That was the first thing she addressed when I came back. I'm like, what the hell would make her want to think I want to talk about
y'all
that?
talk off air though,
So
right?
yeah. We started talking off air. We started to
But I'm
talk
saying even
off air.
prior to you even coming back.
So then I felt uncomfortable that first day. So I'm like, all right, look. Thea was like, all right. Well, we'll just take her off air. She was back the next week. All right, cool. Because there was a voice. Y'all wanted her on air. There was a voice. They wanted her there. They wanted her here. There's a place for Lauren in the show. All right, cool.
But
if
you-
there's a
but
place
you- but
for
you-
her
but
on
you
the
wanted
show,
her- you wanted her
let's
here
do
too,
it
though.
another way. Yeah.
Because you said you wanted to change the segment from Jess with the Mess to the Lauren.
That
segment.
was eventually, even when it came down to it still being called Jess with the Mess, and then I'm introducing her to introduce stories. That was pointless and it was stupid. It's no Jess with the Mess. Just make it Brown Girl Grinding or Lauren with the latest or Lauren's Legal Corner. I'm giving ideas.
eventually
I'm like,
happened.
yo. I even went to Taylor, change that. Take that Jess with the Mess off of there. I feel like I'm getting credit for something I'm not doing, and it's stupid because this is not what she does. Is not Jess with the Mess. I read headlines and I give commentary. I say what people thinking.
I agree. Could I ask
You know
a
what I'm
question
saying? Yes, she's more of a reporter. She's
though?
journalism.
Can I ask a question?
What?
Why didn't you wear the do-rag this morning?
Because
Why you joke so much, man?
What you mean? I'm
not a
just-
and it's not a
bro.
do-rag,
It's
it's a
not a
silk
joke,
scarf,
man.
nigga. But it's not.
It's not a joke,
I'm
man.
serious.
If you gonna bring it to the radio, I want to laugh.
It's not a joke, but
okay?
see,
Nah, but
it's not a joke. See,
It's a serious issue about
it
it.
is a serious issue.
Okay, let me just
Now-
sit back and watch then, because I'm not Joe Clark.
'Cause it's not-
I am actually. Give me my baseball bat.
No, it's now Envy. That's what I'm saying. No, nobody has even tried to clean up the narrative that I'm a villain. Man,
You
man,
not a
me and
villain.
this
Who said you
girl
a
is-
villain?
What, yo, stop acting like you don't live in them comments too, Charlotte. Stop acting like you don't understand.
But what do I always tell you? I say stop listening to the internet. Stop listening to the comments. Stop listening to the folks on YouTube. Don't let them trick you out your position. What you did last night is what they want you to do, and you can't let the internet win.
No, but look, it's not even about what they want me to do. I did last night what I wanted to do, what I felt like I should have been did. I've been asking questions.
The internet loves mess. And one of the easiest ways to create mess is to pit people against each other, especially two women. And I don't dwell in that. And y'all know that.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing. You let the internet dictate what's going on. We've had conversations, and this is the thing. This is why I thought it was corny, and it's just me personally. I thought it was corny because we have conversations up here. We just have a meeting. If you had an issue, a problem, a situation, or something that you felt, why you ain't bring it to the team? When you came back, Jess, I pulled you to the side. I said, Jess, if you feel uncomfortable, if you don't want Lauren in the room, this is your show. We can make that the change whenever you want. Did I not? Or did I not say that to you?
Yeah, you did. It's not about wanting her in the room, yo. It's about the segment. Like it was like y'all
have that
conversation
conversation
y'all wanted
off
her.
air. If you had a problem, say it to us. We had a meeting yesterday.
Conversations off air. What
not
is we
like
talking
that.
about?
Not like nobody having my back, because we have your back. As far as the Corey Holcomb thing, y'all been beefing for 11 years.
I'm not worrying about it's not even about
you. Worried about comments, and you worried about what people say.
I'm worried about the perception and my reputation up here on the show.
They've been ishing on me for 15 years. They've been ishing on Charlamagne for 15
but
years.
That's on you. And the things that people ish on me for is on me.
I don't let it affect me because I know who I am as a person. I don't give a F what them people say in the comments.
Come on.
I know who I am. I know what I do. You let them people get in the comments and F with you. You're great at what you do.
Everybody simmer down.
Like, you a dope.
She's very
and you
dope.
let them people piss you off. No, F them niggas.
Like,
you nice. Like, what you do is funny.
I tell her that all the time, on air,
You brought
off
that
air.
energy that we needed to the Breakfast Club.
Yes.
And you let a bitch-ass person in the comments say something to stare you up. I tell you, F them niggas.
We don't even know who these people are.
They could be bots and all that.
But,
and we doing it on air when we could have did it behind the scenes. Like, I F with you the long way, not on some internet-ish. And to hear that through there, that's whack, man.
This sounds very light-skinned. But let's go to the phones. 1-800-585-1051. Let's open the phone lines. Everybody woosah.
I'm going to get a sparkling water,
I got my
man.
candles lit. I got my candles lit. If you need me to light sage, I'll light sage. Jess want to fight. Envy being beige rage. It's the Breakfast Club. Check out video of the full show on Tubi. Free.
All right. So I am now coming into the understanding that it's a two-part. This is a two-part. You had this part prior to Lauren coming in, and then you have Lauren and Jess having a conversation. So, it's a lot to jump into. I'm gonna play the second one as well. But I want to go ahead and bring our guest on, so he can give his thoughts on what we just heard with Charlamagne, Envy, and Jess, and then we'll play the second clip that got Lauren, that features Lauren in it, and then we'll give commentary and our thoughts on that. So, without any further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in my good brother Student Minister Willie Muhammad. Y'all go ahead and give him a round of applause. Yes, sir. So first and foremost, I want to thank you, good brother, for coming on tonight and to just to talk about this situation. As I mentioned earlier, you have a background in conflict resolution, so I figured this would be apropos for you to be able to come on to Shifting the Culture and to give us a little bit more insight as to what you heard and from a conflict resolution perspective, and just a brother that is tapped in with the culture, with hip hop and music and things like that, give your thoughts and your commentary. So, from what we just heard, because like I said, this is a two-part. You got this conversation that happened between just Envy, Charlamagne, and Jess, and then the part with Lauren when she and Jess talk about their issues. So we're gonna watch that a little bit later on. But from what we just heard, what are your thoughts?
First of all, thank you, my brother, for providing me this opportunity. And we pray that what we share that can help, if it was some way that it can get to them, and even to help those who find themselves in similar positions. I heard that segment of the interview this morning while driving to work. But this time when you played it, I closed my eyes and listened to it. And one of the key things about conflict resolution is looking at the conflict from all of the parties that are involved perspective, from their view. And as I close and listen to that segment, what I heard that stood out to me the most was a young lady, our sister Jess, someone that was hurt, someone that is bothered by the comments. And when people are feeling, if you notice, she said, I felt attacked. And when anybody feels attacked, you look for those who you believe are your posse or your crew or those who love you to come to your aid. And she was expecting that. And but they had a different perspective of it. Remember, these are gentlemen who have been on the air for at least 15 years, and then they were on, Charlemagne has been in the radio industry and has dealt with a lot, way more experience than Jess has. So their skin has been toughened by, right?
Yes, sir.
And so she had an expectation that she wanted to be supported and she wanted to be affirmed and somebody to come to her defense. And when that didn't happen, I would imagine that she felt disappointed. And the other thing that if you really listen, imagine most people know of Jess because she became popular on social media for
Just with the
Jess.
mess.
Now that's your baby. And it can be argued that that is what brought her to the Breakfast Club, in addition to her becoming a comedian and that. And now the thing that you are known for, you come back and now somebody else is doing it.
Mm.
And even though somebody else is doing it, she was trying to do her best to rise above emotion and say, okay, well, she's going to start doing that. Y'all just call it another segment. But internally, it sounds like she was still wrestling with that and she didn't appreciate that.
Right.
So you're hearing somebody that is hurt. And when you hear somebody that is hurt, the key thing to do is listen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's powerful. And and that's exactly what I heard too. And I didn't think about what you said about the fact that Envy and Charlemagne have been not only been in the industry and working together on air for 15 years or more, but just them being in working together as partners, in radio. So the way that they have a relationship, the way that they operate, and the way, like you said, their skin has been toughened, because of the work, and as long as they've been doing this, their mind is kind of hard wrestling with the fact that Jess is just coming into this. She's just getting used to being on a platform, because even though she has her own platform, Breakfast Club reaches millions of listeners on a daily basis. So it's a different thing. And then you coming into, radio, which is different from your Instagram Live, even her own podcast. It's a slightly different feel, I would imagine. I never worked in radio, but I would imagine. So you got to take to consideration all of these different factors, and it definitely sounds like there was some miscommunication, because I believe it was Charlemagne who said, or Envy that said that, well, Jess, you said that you wanted to eventually bring Lauren, have Lauren come in and do a segment, and she was like, yeah, but eventually, like, ease her in, don't just bring her in and then leave her there, especially after I left. And that was another thing. Sometimes it's not about what you do, but it's how you do it. And the fact that she came in and then she left right back out immediately, almost because of maternity leave. But then when she gets back, now she don't have really time to get comfortable. And you see like she said, you see the same person that you use that I had, chose for my replacement. But now you got her doing stuff that we didn't discuss before I left. You know what I'm saying? Now it sounds like y'all had another meeting that didn't include me. You see what I mean? I was on maternity leave, and y'all could have called me, and we could have had that conversation. I could have been on the meeting, but it seemed like y'all didn't bring me in on that meeting.
That's a great point, because imagine that she feels blindsided, right? And if you go back and you carefully listen, there's some universal laws or universal principles that take place in conflict resolution. And I've heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say this, that there's often a third party. And oftentimes the third party is not being seen. You and I and many of the listeners, we tune into Breakfast Club and we see them so much and they're exercising great power and influence. We can begin to start thinking that they run this thing, but they have bosses. You know, they mention somebody else's name who I've never seen, or we got to talk to her, or you talk to him, or you talk to her.
Right.
So you got to understand that there are people behind the scenes like, wait a minute, they're looking at the numbers. So then they slide the sister in and not considering to say, let's have a discussion. If you go back and watch the interview, count how many times you hear several of them say, well, I thought, and I thought, well, you thought, and I thought. See, what that means when they're saying that they thought, then that means there was a communication breakdown.
That's right.
And that means now, and if that means if we had this thought, we had an expectation. And what happens when that expectation is not being fulfilled? We begin to start feeling slighted. And that's how sister is feeling. And she did the thing. And it's just this era in which we live in, you know, and she took it to social media. Now you think about that. These are people that you sit with and you conversate with, you got their numbers. And Charlemagne said people were calling him talking about it being on social media.
Right.
DJ Envy was saying he felt a certain way about it. And this is all people we're together. But when emotions get into something, it's kind of like driving a car and it's pouring down raining. And there's some times where you can put on a windshield wipers to the highest degree and you still can't see. And what you need to do is pull over and stop until the rain subsides. And that's the same thing with our emotions. When we feel our emotions getting there, we need to say, whatever that thought is we wanted to do, let me stop. Let me take a deep breath. Let me even sleep on it and let me come back to it after that. Because now what we're doing is when we take it to social media, we're allowing some of the same people who made comments that helped to create this circumstance. Now they have more ammunition.
Yes, sir. And let me address this point too, because you hear Envy and Charlemagne talking about don't address the comments. Like, don't address the comments. And I often hear, a lot of people say that. Skip Bayless would say that all the time too about athletes, like, don't respond, don't tweet back and stuff like that. And in most cases, that's true, right? In most cases, you definitely have to exercise restraint because you cannot comment and retweet, and speak out on everything. But this is a little bit different. Number one, because part of it to me derived from Corey Holcomb. And that clip of Corey Holcomb and what he was saying about Jess, and he was talking about the relationship and the dynamic. So now it's not just a random person. It's not a bot. It's not any of that stuff. Envy's like, we don't know if they bots. No, we know Corey Holcomb not a bot. He was literally up there in video. So we saw what he was saying. Then he mentioned the fact that they have an issue, that Jess and Corey Holcomb have had an issue going on 11 odd years now, right? So that's a part of how this stuff is getting stirred up. But I think, when Jess is asking for some type of backup, then she is well within her right to do so, because when you see her being attacked, not only by quote unquote people in the comment section, but literally a person that got influence and has a platform, Corey Holcomb, then at that point, you need to come out and you need to be, with your teammate, with your running mate, and, surround her and, do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that she feel like she's a part of the team. And I think that's very important as well.
And it's brother, and like you said, we are not in those positions. One of the things that I've noticed with celebrities, brother, is that I've seen some of these celebrities on social media look past the thousands of positive comments that people have said about them to give attention to a minority when compared to the whole responses of people who saying something negative. Like, why do we do that? Right? Why is it? And this is where the self-improvement comes in. This is where we have to look within ourselves and ask the question, why is it that there on in my under my post, there are 900 positive comments, but I only want to focus on that 100. Does it come from a desire where we want everybody to like us? And that's not going to happen, right?
Absolutely.
And so, and I think about, there was a situation where a brother told me about a very popular celebrity had a radio program, and another celebrity whose radio program wasn't as large as this person began to start saying some stuff on air about this celebrity. And the celebrity wanted to respond. One of the brothers on this celebrity security team happened to be an FOI.
Yes, sir.
And this celebrity said, hey, brother, you have relationships with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Won't you reach out to the minister and see what guidance that he would give you? And the brother took the advice, and he reached out to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And from what I was told, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan used this analogy. He said, brother, you ever seen a dog or a wolf barking at the moon? He was like, yeah, I have. He said, everybody sees that, right? He said, but is it earth shattering? Is it headline worthy when the dog is barking at the moon? He said, no. He said, but the minute if the moon was able to bark back at the dog, history has been made. And sometimes we have to really, I know it's hard, and we want to respond back, but sometimes we have to weigh stuff and say, what is it? Because the definite thing, I don't know how this is going to play out, but regardless of what the haters say, this is her job. But when you're not hearing that, when you're feeling a certain way, if you don't feel affirmed, and if there's something internally about yourself that you don't feel affirmed, you miss all of the affirming statements that other people make on your behalf. You are the third host. If you want this, you can say it. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
There's something, and I pray that they're able to work this thing out, man. And I pray that they do. And one of the things that we have to understand with this, there is no substitute for having a direct conversation with people.
Good point.
There's a lot of times it trips me out about on social media. You have rappers and entertainers that know each other. They made songs with one another. Like the most recent thing with the Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and J. Cole.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nobody could have picked up the phone and say, hey, man, let's all get on the phone line together and talk about what this is.
Right.
Why not? But affairs of the heart prevent us from doing what we should be doing, is picking up the phone, and I'm going to come straight to somebody and ask them, what did you mean by this?
Yes, sir. Wow. All right, family. So what we're going to do, we're going to transition over to this second segment that includes Lauren LaRosa in it, and Jess Hilarious, as they talk about Jess's frustrations and Lauren's role on the show. So we're going to pull that up, and then we're going to come back to our good brother and get his thoughts on this.
Now you bring this Delaware.
You shut up. You shut up.
All I want to do is radio. Okay? All Charlamagne want to do is laugh. Then y'all yell at me for laughing. You don't take nothing serious.
They said it's all your fault.
I know. It's always my fault. I don't care. Okay? I take the good and the bad with everything. It is what it is. It's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. DJ Envy, Charlamagne the God, Jess Hilarious, Lauren LaRosa is here. We're having a conversation because Jess Hilarious went crazy on Instagram last night.
And I knew the live would upset. You know, Charlamagne, you don't get upset, whatever. But I knew that it would upset Envy. I knew it would upset Lauren.
That's why you closed the elevator this morning.
That was crazy. Now, why would you do that, Lauren?
I just I wanted to.
They pulled up at the same time.
At the same time where we parked, and she was in front of me.
She saw Jess. She didn't know what Jess was on, so she rushed to the elevator. She hit the button. You remember when Q was on Juice and he thought Bishop was behind him?
I hit the button one time, and this was why
I heard the button though.
I felt like I didn't know what to say to you because I was so thrown off by parts of that live yesterday. I'm like, bro, we be talking at least enough. Like, we don't got to be friends outside of here. But I feel like I've always said to you off air, whenever things have happened, we've had conversations about a lot of different things. Let's talk. Call me. What's up? What's the issue? What's going on?
The issue is the whole narrative. Like, I understand after comments and after people and all that. But it's not all about them. It's how I'm feeling too. What if I'm feeling the same way the people feel? You know what I'm saying? So what? Because niggas online feel a certain way. I feel the same way they feel about it.
Call me and curse me out. Call in me and curse them out. Yes, you do.
Yes, I've done that.
But I think there's a bigger issue sometimes too, because I feel like, all right, you'll call him, you'll cuss him out. We might talk about different situations. But I think a lot of times, if there's an issue for real, and then it don't be no movement in here, it's like there's an issue outside and then there's no movement in here, and then we just all in here like he ha. Like, you're doing a lot of it right now. You're laughing and joking, but for real, you know that she's up here crying. Nothing about that is funny. Like, there's real issues and real problems, and we don't really get to the gist of it.
Ever.
I want the record to show I see Jess cry a lot. So
it doesn't matter if you see her cry 1,000 times.
He's talking about
you know what? I'm not even talking to y'all. I'm not talking to y'all. See, because when I try to be serious and talk, you see what I'm saying? You see how they do me? I'm a mind my
What
business.
I'm saying is that I think at this moment, because this is East Side High, West Side, whatever high we gonna be, we here and we together, so we got to figure this out. And it's not, everything's not a joke. And I can understand some of where you was coming from, but bro, part of that live I thought was crazy. I'm like, what, Jess? Like,
what part did you think was crazy?
What part? Because like, it's not like you didn't hear anything in that live that I haven't said to you.
I heard a lot that you didn't say to me.
Okay, so what part did I not say to you?
Okay, so the part about the talking over each other and the hush, be quiet, because you talk about how you feel in real time, right?
Yeah,
I'm feeling in real time. That be quiet. That was crazy. The shut up. I was like, oh, okay, because what we really giving up here? Like, what's up?
Okay,
right?
But I didn't. None of that was said. You didn't say anything about that.
And then when I pulled you into the office with our EP with Eddie, the first thing I said to you was, Jess, we fighting for airtime and it shouldn't be like that. I want to know what can I do better as a producer? What can we do better as the two women sitting right here next to each other to make sure that don't happen, because it doesn't look good. It's not going to play well for either one of us.
I literally swear to God, I don't even remember you saying that.
And that's exactly why I had Eddie in the room, our EP,
I never ever heard that.
Because
you've pulled me to the side a few times to ask me, are you okay? How do you feel like about the stories and things like that? You've never said what you just said to me. Now listen. I have said, hush, shut up. Like, yo, you overtalk. And like I said, I'm not about to be up here fighting for no mic. Like, I'm not doing that. If I already got the job, like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not. It's four voices. Three of us are very opinionated. You know what I mean? Me, you, and Charlemagne. I'm not saying Envy don't got no opinion, but he don't jump in every single time there's dead air. You know what I'm saying? When you overtalk. And it's like the only time you can quiet down is if somebody be like, shut up or hush.
My mom don't even tell me shut up, Jess. I'm a grown-ass woman.
And I understand. You could have said that on air right then and there. Or right after when you saying you pulled me in the office. You never pulled me nowhere to tell me that.
Because the way that I do things when it comes to my job and my career, that's not what we on. And I told you from the jump, I was never going to give that to you.
Okay.
Ever. And I did or not, our first conversation, I said, if I ever have an issue with you, I'm going to handle it in a way where we can get through a conversation, because we grown, and regardless, you don't got to love me, you don't got to like me, but we here together. I'm here.
And listen, like I said earlier, the internet loves mess.
Yes, you are here.
And one of the easiest ways to create mess is to pit women against each other.
And you're here because of an opportunity that I extended.
Regardless
I'm not sitting here like you don't deserve to be here. I'm not sitting here like you're not here. You're not going anywhere. That's first and foremost, let's get that. It may be my delivery or whatever. But yeah, you are here. I ain't never say you shouldn't be here. I said from the whole jump, yeah, Shorty do the job great. She's amazing. That's why I want it to be her segment.
pushed for that.
I think y'all can work very well together. And once again, you got to stop letting the internet pit y'all against each
But
other.
I
I
think
know the
it's
internet has
beyond
created
But
a
if it's
narrative.
a way
Lauren versus
that I
Jess
feel
versus
as well,
Lauren.
then that's what it is.
It beyond it go, and that's what I'm trying to say is the internet is there. We see it. None of us can ignore it. I saw that Corey thing a week ago. It didn't say nothing
Yeah,
about
but
it.
y'all clear up everything else. Nobody
Right.
want to clear up that I'm
I don't
not
care.
feeling that. I
You know-
don't like you, or I'm hating on a.
They say
you know,
I'm
just
gay.
the
I ain't
last
never came
time
up here and said I don't suck no pee-pee.
That's true, though.
That's different now. Come on.
The last time I attempted to do that, Jess, it went so bad that I said I wasn't gonna do it again.
Attempted to do what?
I don't dislike you. You don't dislike me. The day you came back. The day you came back, that's what
But
my
Lauren,
intentions was.
they-
And we talked about
Women's
it.
History Month.
That
It
was
is Women's
different.
History
The
Month.
way
It is Women's History Month.
when I did
Gotta
come
put it
back,
like
Lauren,
Tifa.
you
You
have
know, Tifa?
to admit that ish was crazy. The way we had a setup, we had something going, we had a whole nother plan. It went left. You came in here and it's like you did something totally different.
I
And
feel
the first thing
like-
that you spoke to was the things in the comments.
I feel like
So
we're
how-
having a
what are we
behind the
talking
scenes
about?
meeting on air, which is kind of cool. But let's go to commercial or something, and then come back.
Well, the whole
Go to
thing
the
is,
phones
we
or
need a
something.
resolution, bro. We'll take some phone
Yeah.
calls, but like I'm resolution based and not argument based. So let's
Boy,
resolve
shut
this.
up! You're the number one beige rage person. You ain't never
Oh,
came
I-
up with
I-
a resolution,
I wild out.
a
I
solution
will rage some
in your
beige.
life. Cut
But-
it out.
Well, I just want to say,
Women's History
I
Month,
just
I
want
just
to
wanna
say,
let you know.
Jess, what you feeling, we feel it together. And when the other thing happened that I called you about, I said that to you.
What was the other thing? Oh, you don't want to say it.
The academics thing. And I want you to know, I responded to.
To me, it's just lead.
I responded to that on Twitter. I didn't send it to you. I didn't feel like I had to,
Y'all
but I
got
did.
to
But I
stay
called you
out
about it.
the comments. Stop
No,
listening to the comments.
Let me talk.
In real life, we love
Okay,
everybody. Y'all love each other. This can work.
It will
Hush.
work. It will work. What I'm
Hush.
saying, no, because this
You
is.
see what I'm saying? Don't let it
I'm
go.
joking, though. I'm
This came from them
No.
making it a topic, and now it's a
Yeah.
problem because we're talking about
Exactly.
it.
What I'm
So
saying is that this will work, but sometimes this might have to happen, and it's happening with love. Because when I saw Jess crying, I came in here because I care about you. Have to be okay for all of this to be okay. And I'm a producer at the end of the day. You my talent. We gonna be straight. Everything's gonna be fine.
Let's take some calls and then we'll come right back. 800-585-1051. If you want to talk, you want to discuss. Of course, Lauren's here, Jess here, I'm here, Charlemagne's here. Let's have a conversation.
We're queer.
All right. Yeah, this queer Latifah,
Good
you
song,
and I
good song, Brad. Finally, some production up here. Stop acting like this is a goddamn high school. Okay, that is the one thing Jess said that's absolutely true. Y'all run this thing like a mother effing high school.
You smoke crack, don't
if
you?
you need me to be Joe Clark, I will be Joe
It's the
Clark.
Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Somebody get him a bat.
Check out video of the full show on Tubi. Free. Classic interviews and more on Tubi.
All right. So, thoughts.
One thing from a conflict resolution standpoint, and I mentioned this in the video. To me, with our brother Charlemagne, and who I admire, and I think he is a relevant voice, and I think Charlemagne is one of the reasons why we have some of the conscious minds that have come on the Breakfast Club. So we appreciate him for that, and even the pushback that he gives on this current political climate and things like that. I think in this situation is just this was one that the humor needed to be dialed back some.
Yes.
Because
Agreed.
you're dealing with a sister, she was hurt, right? But I think that was his way of, he was kind of uncomfortable about it. So he tried to crack the jokes, but it didn't come off right. So when people feel like they've been done wrong and feel like they've been hurt, that's not the time for us to try to do the humor. It's the time for us to try to listen and try to see it from their view and then begin to start making the adjustments. And from watching that second clip again, one of the reasons why those comments were able to bother our sister is because, as she acknowledged, she was feeling that way already. You see what I'm saying? She was feeling that way. She was feeling that way. She was feeling that way already. And what we're seeing taking place with the Breakfast Club, guess what? Stuff like this happen in the mosque. Stuff like this happen in churches. Stuff like this happen in family reunions, in families, in our workplaces. You feel me? So conflict cannot be avoided. That's a part of life. This is why we need to learn the skills that will help us to be able to properly manage the conflict. Like when somebody gives us the opportunity to say what the issue is, That's not the time for us to say, I don't want to say it, I'm going to hold back. No, say what it is so we can get it out. Because if we don't do it, it's going to manifest again because circumstances are going to bring it out.
Yes, sir. You know what that reminded me of is something that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said in his lecture, Obedience is the highest form of sacrifice. And he talked about how he wrote a letter to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in reference to the scientists and how he felt about the scientists. And one thing that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the minister after he read it was, number one, don't send that type of letter through his secretaries because the secretaries will read your mail. And sometimes the things that the ministers drop in the secretary in the letters to the messenger can be too heavy for the secretaries to understand. But the second thing and the most important thing was the fact that the messenger helped the minister in his understanding of the decision that the scientists made in not going after Shabazz for 50,000 years. The minister was upset about that. But the messenger said, hey, he gave the explanation as to why that was, and the minister was humble enough and thankful enough for the correction. And the minister went on to say that, if you don't understand something, then you ask the messenger, you ask the teacher, you ask for clarity and say, well, dear Holy Apostle, I see it this way. And then you allow for the correction to take place if need be, so that you can be right. Because the minister said that we all striving to be right. And he said, if you want to be right, then you want to be corrected. And he said that you don't want to be wrong. He said you don't want to sit there and have questions. I'm paraphrasing now, but have questions or don't understand or feel like your understanding is different from the teacher, because he said it's going to manifest itself anyway. That's what he says, it's going to manifest itself anyway. So it's the same thing with this, and how Jess was already feeling a certain type of way, and it wasn't addressed by Charlemagne or Envy, which is the two main people. Then it was allowed to grow and to fester, and then of course the social media comments did not help, but it made it worse to the point where then Jess exploded. So, and when I say exploded, I'm talking about the live that she just did. So a couple of the so you can jump in, and then I wanted to highlight a couple of points I wrote down.
There was a lecture, YouTube took it down crazy. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did title Settle Your Differences. And in this lecture, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave principles that we use when we do the conflict resolution trainings and when we do conflict. So if people could get that lecture and just study the man that God has in our midst, it would help. The other thing is, good can come out of this, right? And that's the thing that we understand. Sometimes something ugly has to take place, some pain has to be experienced for good to come out of this. Sometimes with conflict, you're never going to be able to fully get everybody on the same page, or you did this, you said this, I told you that, no, you didn't. It'll go through that period. But at some point, we're going to stop and say, listen, we can't cry over spilled milk. But today, March 19th, going forward, what can we do to prevent what took place today from taking place again? And that's when we begin to start putting together some guidelines and some boundaries. Well, I would appreciate if we do something that we all have a discussion. I would appreciate before we go on social media that you call me, as Charlemagne mentioned, call and curse me out, right?
Right.
So set some boundaries, because in a sense, they're in a relationship and they're getting to know each other. In that relationship, Charlemagne and DJ Envy, they have come to know each other. We've seen them have their spats on television, on TV, and on the radio, but they know each other, right? But we have two other individuals that's coming into that space. Now they're trying to be welded into this family. So some stuff is not going to always be peaches and cream. as the sister Lauren alluded to, sometimes you're going to have stuff like this. But the key thing is, what mechanisms do we have in place when stuff like this happens, right? You watch boxing, right? I think I've seen you make posts
Yes, sir.
about boxing.
Hmm.
In boxing, when the bell ring and one opponent is walking back to the corner, it's illegal for another one to come behind him and punch him.
Right.
It's illegal to throw. It's illegal to punch somebody below the belt. It's illegal to hold somebody's arm and punch them behind their head. There are rules that are established. So even in our relationships, we have to begin to start setting up rules on how we are going to handle and respond to conflict and tension and misunderstanding. And oftentimes we don't.
Yes, sir. That's a
Those
great
rules.
point. That's a great point. And one of the things that I took away from the exchange, not only the first exchange between Envy and Charlamagne and Jess, but then also when Lauren came in, was that there was a communication breakdown. There was, like
Mhm.
you mentioned before, I thought, or you said this, or you said that, or I don't remember you saying, because Jess clearly said, well, I don't remember you saying, and Lauren was like, well, no, that's why I had somebody else in the room that could bear witness to what I'm saying, right? So obviously there was a communication breakdown, and most of the time this is what all of this is about. And because I think in this atmosphere, within the last, I want to say maybe 15 years or so, I believe an atmosphere has been created where people don't like confrontation. Even Envy and Charlamagne, who've been doing this for a long time, but there's just been a culture that's been created where you do a lot more sneak dissing and a lot more
Mhm.
shade throwing, or you
Mhm.
just see certain things and don't want to deal with it and you just let it be instead of
Mhm.
addressing the issue head on. So,
Mhm.
because you can tell when something is off, and like Envy said, he came to Jess when she came back and said, if you feel a certain type of way, people don't come to you and say that unless you got a hunch, right, about something. So there were indicators that indicated prior to all of this that Jess was not feeling like she was a part of the team. So instead
Mhm.
of taking the bull by the horns and the pioneers, if you will, on the show and saying, all right, let's bring Jess in, let's make sure she good, let's have a conversation, see where her head is at because the energy is off, let's get everything straight before we move forward. They just kind of let it be. So now you got her feeling a certain type of way. She not as cool with y'all as y'all are. So she may not feel like she can say certain things to y'all or bring it to you. So she doesn't say anything, and then you have this type of stuff that happen. Right. So I
Mhm.
think that's been a culture that's been created because it's a lot of people that do that. Like you said, at your jobs, at the mosque, at church, at any place where people have to deal with other people, there's no person that really likes to say, if there's an issue, let's address the issue, head on, and let's work it out so that we don't have anything go down the line. When things blow up and happen, that's not the start of it. That's usually
Mhm.
the breaking point of something that happened a long time ago that could have been prevented if you just had basic communication. So that's one thing.
That's beautiful.
The other thing is, this is why the self improvement study guides are so important, because it helps us to understand who our people are.
Mhm.
And when we listen to the minister and we follow his way, I mentioned this on the show before, and following the minister's way and his example, then the way we deal with each other be a lot better. Because I think Jess said something to Lauren that kind of was not necessary to say about the fact
Mhm.
that Lauren was there because of an opportunity that Jess extended to her.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes Jess isn't the only one that do this, but black people, we do this all the time. We'll be in the heat of an argument and then we'll throw fuel on the fire.
Mhm.
Like,
That's a
so
great
we're gonna
thing.
throw fuel on the fire to make it explode instead of trying to do everything we can as a fireman to try to put the fire out. So I think
Mm.
that comment that she said to Lauren about why Lauren was even on air, if Lauren wasn't mature enough to handle it the way that she handled it,
Yeah,
could have went another way.
she went off. And
So
And she, in a sense, she kind of came back and said something to kind of counter. I don't know if you caught it. Like, I'm the producer and you're the talent. You're gonna be all
Yep, I
right.
caught that. I
But it just
definitely
be,
caught that.
you see, it'd be the little jabs,
Little
right?
jabs.
But as it relates with conflict resolution, when we realize that we have said something or something that was said, though from a sincere place that was taken out of context or misunderstood or misinterpreted, that's where we have to stop and say, wait, let me go back and let me apologize for saying that. I shouldn't have. But conflict resolution, the skills that we need, oftentimes we lack them because we're not doing the work to try to learn them. Oftentimes we're going back to where we've seen conflict resolved or attempted to be resolved or stuff that we're seeing on television. I'm thankful for the maturity of them who are all in that station, because in this social media age, we know that could have turned out very bad.
Yes, absolutely.
They could have been, but to the level of maturity and to the level of love that's in each of their hearts for one another, it's not malice.
Right.
I didn't feel a sense of malice or hatred coming from Jess. Jess just felt like I felt blindsided. Like the thing that you all hired me to do, I'm seeing you slowly give it away to somebody else, and you're not having conversations with me.
Right.
Envy felt blindsided because he felt like, listen, man, in a sense, he was saying, I'm like, you're like a sister to me. I'm riding for you. But I wasn't afforded the same opportunity where you can come to me as a brother. So in all of the conversation, you see that there's love there for each other. And they just got to work. I pray that they work through these misunderstandings and set up a system that will begin to help them to manage conflicts like this when they arise. But this could be another great pivotal moment for the Breakfast Club that will help take it to even higher heights, by how they handle this. Now, I didn't really, from my perspective, I wasn't really too keen on opening up the telephones and people calling in, because you open up to a bunch of people. Luckily, from what I was told, that there were people that were calling in affirming Jess and saying how much they appreciate her being there, which is good. But what Jess wants to know is the people who she's with every day, that they feel the same way, which they've communicated that they say that they do. And I hope that she believes that they do, because I believe that they do.
Yes, sir. I agree with that. I agree with that 100% as well. And one thing, two more things that I want to bring to your attention. You mentioned this on your video earlier, where you talked about the fact that this probably should have been handled privately, and not and didn't do it on air. So, could you expound more on the fact that they versus the difference between handling it on air versus handling it privately in a private discussion?
They still are in the business where ratings count, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
I would imagine this is probably the highest ratings that they've had this year. So remember, they still have bosses and they still work for somebody else. So there are other people who saying no. Like, for example, with Stephen A. Smith, with the thing with LeBron James, right?
Right,
And
right.
Stephen A. Smith said he had no intention on even addressing it.
Dressing it, right.
He said,
Right.
but the people at CNN, his boss said, oh no, you gonna talk about this, right? So that's why I think probably led to that as well. But you saw it started getting to real hot, and Charlamagne said, "Yo, let's go to a break, right?" And I
Yes.
would imagine that the conversation didn't end once they were off. Once the day was over for them, they continue
Right.
to keep having conversations. So I understand they're going to deal with it, but they could have dealt with it behind closed doors, resolved it, and then come before each other, like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has told us to do and black leaders to do. You come before one another, you come with each other behind closed doors, and then we acknowledge, yes, you saw our sister Jess. This is how she was feeling. This is how we resolved it. Because in the end, we still got to understand that this is an urban radio program. Two brothers, married brothers, who family men, a sister, Sister Jess, married, a young sister. She's a college graduate, very professional. And not everybody wants to see the Breakfast Club on there. The Breakfast Club has introduced millions of people to Dr. Umar, to Boyce Watkins, to Brother Wesley, Brother Nuri, Brother Ishmael, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, sir.
So we have to be careful that we don't allow outside forces to take advantage of the conflicts that just come from just living, and they take it and remove an avenue by which our people can still go and get some information. Is that so? That's something that we have to be careful about. And we're in the Nation of Islam, man. We're just not into having our people arguing and going back and forth about each other on TV and on social media. We see that too much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a good point. That's definitely a point to look at as well. When you look at how many people of consciousness that the Breakfast Club has introduced to the world, because the Breakfast Club isn't one of those radio stations or platforms, if you will, that is siloed off under just solely consciousness. So because they have an expansive audience of people who are tapped into the culture, whether it be for technology, music and hip hop, mostly entertainment, but black cultural news, then when you introduce that consciousness to the masses, now you working on a whole nother level. And that's that hidden hand that some people mentioned in my comments section when I put the clip of Jess Hilarious up. They brought up the hidden hand that's at play. So that's always something that we have to
Always,
look at.
brother.
Always something that we have to look at for sure.
Always.
Because like you said, it's not too many people that necessarily want the Breakfast Club to continue to do what they're doing. I'm glad you brought up Stephen A. Smith though, because you had that situation with Stephen A. Smith. Then also recently you had the situation with Mason Cameron and Ocho and Shannon Sharp about the shows. So what is it, in your opinion, that you're seeing as a trend possibly, or as, something that's repetitive that's happening where you having these different disputes and things of that nature?
Because people want to be number one. And people are still vying for wanting to have that top show. And the love is not great enough, right? Because love is great enough. If we have an issue, I'm going to go and call this person, right? But there are some of our people, brother, they're into that clickbaiting stuff.
Right.
And they go after that, right? They're into that, and they see, dang it, this is where you get views. You got to have something controversial. If you just go down YouTube and you just look at the videos that are put on when it's talking about sports, they'll have a headline that says Chuck and Shaquille O'Neal heated
debate.
People click on it, you thinking they were going at each other, and they just really just giving their views, and they're not going at each other. So Satan has created this lane that, listen, if you want to give views, you got to come with the controversy. You got to push this. But you do it at the expense of what? A relationship, a brotherhood, tainting even more the view that people have of black people and that black people have of themselves for some views. And that's the thing we got to be careful about.
That's real. Man, so I appreciate you, brother Minister Willie, for coming on and having this discussion, man. And, man, just helping to inform our people about conflict resolution and what can be done. in order, to prevent it in our own personal lives. Because while we see celebrities and things like that having their issues play out, something else just popped in my head too, man, because I was talking about it earlier. But what Kanye got going on and what he still said about
Oh my
Jay-Z
goodness.
and Beyonce, like what's up with Ye right
That
now?
was that was so heartbreaking, brother. I ain't gonna lie to you, brother. I my eyes got watered
Mm,
thinking about that, man. That was just like, brother, come on, man. That was just like, but remember what Allah says in the Holy Quran, Satan excites our vain desires.
mm.
You see, Satan excites our vain desires. And and when we're chasing that vanity, we want the clicks and we want the views. If we're not fully developed, brother, we end up doing things for views and end
Wow.
up damaging relationships. And it happens, man. People just be doing stuff for views.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. It's hard to really put our finger on what that whole thing with Kanye. But the last thing I'm gonna say when it comes to
Mhm.
Just Hilarious and the Breakfast Club, I've been tapped in with the Breakfast Club for a long time, long time. Back when Angela Yee was on the show. And I used to love to watch the interviews and
Mhm.
and to see how Jess expressed her frustration and how she felt about the way things were being handled on the show, and to hear, like you said, out of love, Envy express how she should have could have came to him as a brother.
Mhm.
How Jess felt out of love. Y'all brought me in to be a part of the team. Y'all brought me here to do Jess with the mess, but then you start doing acting all weird and having all of these sidebar meetings and acting funny, and then to hear out of love Sister Lauren say, hey, listen,
Mhm.
in order for us to be great, sometimes this has to happen. And
Mhm.
out of love, this is happening, and she felt the way by certain things that Jess was doing. So
Mhm.
this whole aspect of clear communication is really one of the overarching themes of this whole thing of takeaways and what we can learn from this whole situation, which is having better communication. And what I mean by having better communication, because it's so cliche to say that nowadays. I'm working on my communication. We got to have, better
Yeah.
communication. But
Yeah.
how are you working on that? Like, you got to
Right,
really
man.
get into a practice. You got to be intentional. You need to find
Right.
classes. You need to,
Right.
reach out to people who have a system of how clear
Right.
communication is actually done. And then
Right.
you need to study that, and then you need to put it into practice. And then
Mhm.
after you do that, you can say, hey, I've worked on my communication because I used to do this and now I do that.
Mhm.
Now I used to handle situations like this and say it this way, but now I say it that way. Now that's a clear
Mhm.
way of knowing that you was able to that you worked on your communication. So I
Mhm.
believe that Jess and Lauren and Envy and Charlemagne, they'll be able to work through this only if they are committed to clear communication and conflict resolution. Anytime there's an issue, let's talk about it. Anytime
Mhm.
somebody's feeling a certain type of way, don't hold it inside. No, bring it to the
Mhm.
team and say, hey, listen, this
Mhm.
has been bothering me. I want to discuss it with y'all and see how we can work and get a solution.
That's right. You hit it.
Yes, sir.
You hit that out the park, brother. And you said something that I always say. You get people. I mention this to married couples and people who want to get married. We ask them, "What's the key?" Communication is the key to marriage. Communication is the key to successful relationship. And I always ask them, if that's the case, in the last week, what video have you watched on effective communication?
Come
In
on.
the last year, what book have you You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, we got to get past of just saying stuff that sounds good. If we know that communication is key, we need to be getting the information to see how we can become effective communicators and see where we are lacking as it relates to communication, even with myself. And now you can go and pull up a video on YouTube, a video on TikTok, a video on Instagram. That's 3 minutes, a minute and 30 seconds that we can learn to be effective communicators. And we got to begin to start working on ourselves and to see what it is that triggers us. We got to work on our triggers. I saw something on social media. They said that an unhealed person hears through their triggers. I'm
Wow.
paraphrasing. And if you hearing from your triggers, then you never hear something the way that it should. Like you mentioned Cam and Ocho. Cam went hard on Ocho. And how Ocho handled it, Ocho was like, when I said about talk to my business partner, I wasn't just pushing you off. That's the way I do business. He said, Shannon, what did I ask you to do? Talk to
Right.
your business
Talk to my
partner.
business
And he
partner.
said, when I said I'm coming for your spot, he said I wasn't being arrogant, that I was admitting you're number one and I want to be like you.
Right.
So then Cam said that he let some of his friends say it, and his friends say they heard what Ocho said. And they say, man, you need to listen to it. Ocho wasn't really coming at you like that. And Cam was like, my bad. But
Wow.
oftentimes, that video of Cam saying, my bad, I misinterpreted, you don't see that as much as we seen
The other one.
him going at
Going
Ocho.
in. Yep.
We don't see on social media the videos about Jay-Z not being guilty of what he was accused of, the way we saw those videos of him being accused of that.
Mm-hmm.
And none of us control the algorithms. Who does?
That's right. That's right. You know, and then last thing, this is the last thing for real. But these social media blog sites, I have been I've always been under the impression that a lot of these social media blog sites have understood what you just talked about, you know, the clickbait, the controversy, the drama, the gossip. No, that's what our people crave. That's our appetite. And then they purposely put that content out. And this is how they're able to build platforms like they have built, you know, with millions of followers off of celebrity gossip and drama and all of that kind of stuff. So what role do you think those media blog sites play in all of the drama?
They play the same drama. We don't control, even though we say Black Twitter or Black X, Black social media, we don't control it. We make it popular, right?
Right.
So the same role that they play is the same role that somebody played thousands of years ago when they came out of the hills and cave sides of Europe and they came into the root of civilization, accusing one another, and then in the end they had us what? Fighting and killing one another.
Yes, sir.
And then I gotta go read my section of the lessons today too. So and then go, and I would encourage your readers to get the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's book, Torchlight for America. Remember, there's a part where he's talking about entertainment, and he's talking about how society has been engineered to be like pigs.
Yes.
And all we want is a slop. And guess what? It ain't just for those who are considered to be the ratchets. It's the same for those who in the mosque and in the church and in the synagogues and all of that. We be running to the ratchet stuff as well.
Yes, sir.
Looking for an argument. So it's the same thing, and we have to begin to increase and grow as human beings so we don't be attracted to the mud and the filth. Because long as we're in that's where Satan rules, brother.
Yes, sir. That's real. I heard the minister. I remember the minister speaking on that too in a lecture where he said we were like pigs. He talked about being gluttonous, intellectual pigs in our appetite, like you said, for for drama, for ratchetness, for all of that type of stuff, filth and all of that. And, that stuff is used against us, used to paint a picture of us, in a certain light that doesn't help move the culture forward. And that's why on Shifting the Culture, we have these conversations, family, so that we're able to change the narrative and help highlight, the positive in these situations. So I'm thankful for Student Minister Brother Willie Muhammad coming on tonight.
Keep it up, man.
Sharing
Keep
these
it up.
thoughts. Yes,
Keep
sir.
doing what you're doing, my brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep hammering at it. Keep hammering at it. And may Allah continue to bless you, man.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Is there anything that you want to lead the people with before we let you go?
Make sure y'all subscribe to Shifting the Culture podcast. Make sure you subscribe and support, and because this is an avenue. This is one of those weapons, brother, that in the absence of the honorable minister Louis Farrakhan, your podcast will be one of the other venues that we will have to get our message out. And
Yes, sir.
years ago we didn't have that, but now we do. So keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yes, sir. All praise is due to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, all right then, Brother Willie. We certainly appreciate it. And, man, we look forward to having you back on again, bro.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Man, so family, that there you have it. Man, we've been seeing, like I said, all of the viral clips and everything that's been said. And just like with all of these situations, when things pop off, when it's drama, we there. We love drama. We love division. We love controversy. We love to see somebody talking slick, throwing shade. We love it. We blow the comments up when there's some mess going on. But in this particular situation with Jess, with Charlamagne, Envy, the whole Breakfast Club, people were really hurt. Jess was literally up there crying when after she had the exchange with Charlamagne and with Envy in that first segment. She was literally crying before they went to commercial. And remember, Lauren said, "Hey, I came out here because I saw you crying." So Jess isn't playing. She's not joking. She was really hurt. She's genuinely hurt. Envy, I believe, is genuinely hurt about how the situation. Lauren, I believe, was genuinely offended and hurt by how things was playing out because it wasn't her intention to come in and to, ruffle any feathers, try to split up anything. Obviously, she already had another role she was playing as producer. So it's not like she didn't have nothing to do and she came in and was there just to fill in and then, was thrown back out in the street. Now, she had other things going on. So again, all of this, family, is about a lack of communication. And that's why we got to be intentional. Just like with everything else, we want to be intentional about our health. Then you got to seek out the wisdom and the knowledge to help you have better health. You want to be intentional about your thoughts, then you need to seek out better knowledge that help you become more intentional about your thoughts, your prayer life, your spiritual life. Everything that you do that you believe is good and valuable to you, you have to be intentional about it. And that's the same thing with communication. As Brother Student Minister Willie said, you can't just talk about communication all the time and say communication is the key and communication is how we have good relationships and all of that. And that's a beautiful thing to say. But are you actively working on your communication? Are you seeking out communication specialists? Are you, in a program, in a course that really teaches the art of communication, the science of communication? Because it's not just because you talking and exchanging words. That's not a conversation. A conversation is you transmit information and then the other person receives that information, processes it, then they transmit back. And that's the flow of how a conversation works. But oftentimes we talking and then the other person is talking over us. So we don't know what they saying. They can't hear what we saying. It's emotion that's tied in. So emotion overrides all logic that you have. Now nobody's thinking logically. People talking over each other and we think that's communication. And then you think if you do that clearly, if you argue clearly, now you in the area of clear communication. No, it's not in the area. You're nowhere near the area of clear communication because communication doesn't have all of the things that's expressed in most of the arguments that take place in our community. Do you know most of the time people get killed over petty arguments and the fact that they didn't have clear communication and did not have conflict resolution? People die because of the inability to have conflict resolution. I might have stepped on your shoes. I saw a video the other day where a brother got sentenced to time in prison. I want to say life in prison because he shot a man over the man complimenting his wife's tattoo or his girlfriend's tattoo or something. Inability to express yourself and clearly communicate how you feel. He literally shot somebody over that. People die because communication is not clear. So if you don't take anything away from what we talked about tonight, let's talk about how we can be better communicators when it comes to issues, conflicts, and things that we have with our family, with our friends, co-workers, etc. All right? So I pray this was valuable. I pray you was able to learn something from this tonight that me or Brother Willie was able to share with y'all. Man, shout out to Charlemagne, Envy, Jess Hilarious, and Sister Lauren for the phenomenal job that they do on Breakfast Club. Keep up the good work. Y'all gonna get through this. And make sure that y'all tapping in with your good brother each and every week with Shifting the Culture podcast and perspective. Man, so we'll see y'all next time on the next episode, family. Peace and blessings.
Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
Not your average nigga, I'm a god out the hood. They can't downplay me, I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say. They see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. Then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still wanna think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made. I was chosen by that man, you know y'all just been running game. The nerve of you acting like